All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are going to cut through all the noise, all the apps, the gurus, the so-called secrets, to tackle one massive question. We're diving straight into decades of academic research to figure out what science actually says is the best way to learn a new language. I mean, come on, it's the question, right? Every single person who's ever tried to learn a language has asked this. Whether you're just starting out or you've hit a plateau, the path forward can feel like a total mystery. So, what's the real answer? Well, part of the reason it's so confusing is that we're all stuck in what you might call the learning labyrinth. It is this maze of conflicting advice, different methods, and personal stories that honestly often just leave you more confused than when you started.
And this labyrinth is basically built from questions we've all had buzzing around in our heads, right? You see someone who just seems to have a knack for it. You hear that after a certain age, it's just too late. People say, oh, just go immerse yourself and soak it up like a sponge. But is that really how it works? These are the walls of the maze we're trying to get out of.
So, to find our way out, we're going to turn to the science, the field of second language acquisition, or SLA. But, there's a catch. The research is often super dense, filled with academic jargon, and it's not really written for the average person who just wants to know what they should be doing tonight to learn Spanish. Yeah, this quote pretty much hits the nail on the head. The answers are out there, but they're locked away in these articles that are almost as tough to understand as the language we're trying to learn in the first place. And here's the fundamental disconnect, you see? Researchers are busy describing the how and the why of language learning, all the complex cognitive stuff. But we, as learners, we just want to know what to do. We need simple, practical strategies that fit into our busy lives, not a PhD-level theory. But, okay, here's the good news. After you wade through all of that research, a few incredibly clear and powerful ideas start to emerge. And these aren't some kind of secret hack. They are foundational principles that pretty much all researchers agree on. Let's call it the trifecta of learning. This right here, this is our map out of the labyrinth. Decades of research all point to these three pillars. You've got to learn in context, you've got to learn by using it, and you have to learn through interaction. Seriously, forget the gimmicks. These are the things that actually work. So let's break down what each one really means. Okay, first up, context. This is all about a mindset shift. You have to stop thinking of a language as just a pile of vocabulary lists and grammar rules to memorize. It's not something you store in your brain. It's something you do with people. It's a social tool, and it's completely tangled up with culture. As the brilliant researcher Bonnie Norton puts it, you have to treat language as a social practice. What does that mean? It means you're not just learning words. You're learning how to operate inside a new community. It's about learning the social game, not just memorizing the rulebook. And that flows perfectly into our second principle, learn by using it. This is a huge shift from just collecting little bits of knowledge to actually doing stuff with it. This is what we see as a knack for languages. It isn't magic. It's just people who are learning by jumping in and trying to complete a whole task, like ordering food or trying to tell a story. Exactly. As John Norris says here, it's about the holistic experiences. Every time you successfully use the language to do something real, you build your ability in a way that just staring at a flashcard 1,000 times never, ever could. And finally, number 3, interaction. Look, listening to podcasts and reading books is great for getting input, but real learning isn't passive. You can't just soak it up. The most powerful learning happens in a real-time, back-and-forth conversation. It's where you have to think on your feet and figure out what the other person means. And this is a superpower that works at any age, because it's about active engagement, not how old your brain is. So there you have it, context, use, and interaction. You see how these ideas totally reframe those questions we had at the start? It's way less about age or some innate talent, and much more about your approach. But okay, knowing the principles is one thing. How do you actually apply them? And this is the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. The science can give us the map, but you are the one who has to walk the path. You have to become a researcher of yourself. Pay attention to what's working for you, what isn't, and crucially, what actually keeps you showing up. This whole process starts by asking a really honest question. What do you actually want to do with this language? I'm not talking about some vague goal like become fluent. I mean specific, real-world things. Because your personal goals are what will dictate the right path for you. For instance, is your goal to sound almost like a native speaker? Or is it something more practical, like just being able to hold your own in a meeting at work? Maybe you need to write professional emails or read academic papers in your field. Each of those goals points to a totally different learning strategy. And this brings us to the ultimate truth of it all. After digging through all the research, the single best method is going to be the one that feels right to you, the one you actually enjoy, the one that clicks with your goals, because that's the one you're going to stick with. And consistency, that is the real secret. You know, when you really get into this journey of self-research and practice, you start to realize something profound. We're not just like downloading a new app into our brains. It's so much bigger than that. It's an expansion of your entire perspective. Learning another language isn't just about picking up a new skill. It's about gaining a whole new way of seeing the world, a new way of understanding other people, and, believe it or not, a new way of understanding yourself. So, I'll just leave you with this to think about. As you go forward, ask yourself this question. Are you just chasing a technical skill, or are you signing up for one of the most rewarding journeys of self-discovery a person can take? Because thinking about it that way, well, it changes everything.